Compare this team to the 2019 team that went out and made the Kawhi Leonard trade, because this is what people keep going back to. Masai did this once. He got a guy who didn't want to come here, and look at what happened. They win a championship. Now, this team is just completely different.
Yeah, so let me go over the starting lineup or the sort of rotation for the 2017-18 Raptors, who won 59 games, and that was the year before the Kawhi trade that ended in yet another embarrassing sweep to LeBron James as the 1 seed this time. You had Jonas Valanciunas, OG Anunoby, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Serge Ibaka. Off the bench, you had Fred VanVleet, DeLon Wright, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl. You had Norm Powell, and you had CJ Miles. That's like 11 quality rotation players, and maybe you don't have a superstar there. I mean, not maybe, like you don't have a superstar there, but like you don't fluke into a 59-win team. And for whatever it's worth, the point differential said they actually should have won 60 games. And given
Not that we splitting hairs around here.
Given that their final game of the year went into overtime and resulted in Fred VanVleet getting suffering a shoulder injury after taking a screen from Bam Adebayo, which kept him out of most of the first round series against Washington. I'm sure this is where you thought this conversation was going.
Yeah, of course.
They were very close to a 60-win team. I don't think we need to relitigate what made the Kawhi Leonard situation so special, other than but the combination of the peculiarity of that situation.
Well, it was already a very good team, and Kawhi Leonard is a much better player in 2019 than Damian Lillard is in 2023.
How close the Raptors were at the time, and how many times the Raptors had sort of run up against a wall, even if that wall was moving from Cleveland to Los Angeles. It made a lot of sense to like take your big swing and live with the consequences at that point. That doesn't mean there wasn't any risk, but it made sense. This team last year went 41-41. They just lost Fred VanVleet. And fine, you say Damian Lillard replaces him. And obviously, I'm not going to argue that's not an upgrade. It's a huge upgrade. But you're also losing other guys from that team on a team that had just horrific depth. I don't think that had a little bit to do with coaching. I think there was more talent on the roster that then ended up being used, but this was not a deep NBA team. And so that's why you don't do it, on top of he's 33, has eyes for one city, and yeah, you add this guy. Are you an A-level contender in the Eastern Conference? I don't really think so. I think you're behind Milwaukee and Boston, and then in the next group with Cleveland and I'm missing Philadelphia, depending on what happens with them. And maybe you only have 1 or 2 years at this. It's just so much downside risk for what it's going to cost.